inflation and interest rates. Let's move on to the next challenge. Another significant challenge is managing rising public debt. Many countries are struggling with high debt values due to increased spending during the pandemic and other crises. This creates complication for central banks as high government borrowing can lead to higher interest rates and inflation. To mitigate this, government need to manage their fiscal policies, spending and taxation carefully to avoid putting undue pressures on central banks to keep interest rates low. For instance, many European countries facing escalating debt levels finding themselves with limited room for fiscal expansion, leaving central banks in a tough position. And this chart depicting rising debt levels in major economics. Lastly, central banks must contend with global economic uncertainties. These include geopolitical conflicts, fluctuations in energy prices, and trade tensions. Such global factors can lead to inflationary pressures and impede economic growth, complementing the central bank's ability to implement effective policies. Take, for example, the surge in energy prices in Europe. This increase, driven by geopolitical conflicts and supply chain issues, has contributed to inflation and has made economic recovery more difficult. And this visual shows the global with icons representing the energy prices, trade, and geopolitical risk. Over to Varsha.
So, I am here to explain the key issue the European Central Bank or the ECB is dealing with right now. It's about how they are managing the country in the Eurozone where the countries face different economic conditions. Right now, inflation, which is when the price goes up, is quite high in Europe. It is partly because of the recent big increases in the energy prices. To tackle this, the ECB has already decided to raise the interest rates. You might wonder why the ECB would increase the interest rates. Well, higher interest rates make borrowing money more expensive. This usually means people spend less and the businesses invest less, which helps to slow down the price increases and manage the inflation. However, raising the interest rates isn't a one size fits all solution. The Eurozone is made up of many countries with different economic strengths. For example, let us consider Germany is a strong economy that can handle higher interest rates very carefully. For countries like Greece, which are already struggling, higher interest rates can make things worse. It can even lead to high borrowing costs and slow down their recovery from the economic troubles. So, what is the ECB doing to balance this out? They are trying to raise the interest rates slowly and carefully so that they don't hurt the weaker economies too much. At the same time, they are working on ways to support these struggling countries, perhaps with the targeted helps or even policies to ease their burden. So, basically, this is the work of the European Central Bank in managing the interest rates of the economies. As we go through 2024, the central banks around the world are facing an important challenge, deciding whether to keep the interest rates high to control the inflation or risk pushing the economy into a downturn. This is a big decision that will impact the global economy. Imagine here a scale. There are two sides of a scale. On one hand is the growth, which means making sure the economy stays strong and people can find the jobs easily. And on the other hand, let it be the inflation, which is about keeping the prices from going up too quickly. The central banks needs to find the right balance between these two. One big worry right now is the stagflation. This happens when we have both high inflation and low economic growth at the same time. To tackle inflation, the central banks often raise interest rates, but higher interest rates can also make it harder for the businesses and people to borrow and spend the money, which can also slow down the economy and potentially leading to the recession. In short, the central banks have a tough job. Their choices will affect how well we control the inflation, how strong the economy remains, and how we handle the government debt. What they decide today will shape our economic future for long time. In conclusion, the central banks are at the heart of economic recovery efforts in 2024. Their role in balancing the trade offs between controlling inflation, promoting the growth, and managing the debt is more critical than ever. While the path forward is uncertain and fraught with challenges, the strategies adopted by the central bank will have a lasting impact on the global economy.
Thank you.